News coming in, Aam Aadmi Party leaders claim he got death threats given to them. In fact, we're given to understand that these threats have come after the case has been heard by the court in the defamation case against Union Minister. And it's also Raghav Chadha who has tweeted that, including myself, my lawyer on the other side in Patiala House Court, we've got death threat. Jaitley's lawyer issued death threats to me and others. My colleague Anindya giving us more details on this. Anindya, this is getting into an uglier spat now to court as well.
Well, absolutely, Devina. This is not only getting an ugly spat, but also a very sensational twist to the whole ongoing legal saga between Arvind Kejriwal and company on one side, and on the other side, a very powerful minister in the Union Cabinet, Arun Jaitley. But clearly, what happened today was in the court, Arun Jaitley criminal defamation case against Delhi CM Arvind Kejriwal and others, AAP party leaders. Court framed notice against the accused AAP leaders in the case. All the accused pleaded not guilty and claimed trial. But then after, within just few minutes, probably half an hour, we see this tweet coming from Raghav Chadha. He's also one of the co-accused, A, and B, also a spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party. It remains to be seen, how much meat is there as far as his demand is concerned, but one point, as far as his claims are concerned. But one thing is for sure, it's just going to be ugly from here onwards.
Absolutely, Anindya, but what's been the response right now of Aam Aadmi Party leaders' threat from the Jaitley team?
There's no response from the Jaitley team. What we believe that Mr. Jaitley or his lawyers have always maintained that they will only speak the legal, will speak to them in the court, and they won't give much importance by reacting to any and every statements made by Team Kejriwal, and that has been a stated position of Team Jaitley all throughout. So we don't expect any kind of reaction from Team Jaitley. But yes, this is something probably the Delhi police. It remains to be seen whether they go ahead and file a FIR, and if at all, whether Delhi police takes action or not. But clearly, death threats. If it is alleging that there's some death threats, it clearly has come from certain numbers. What are the numbers? Where have they come from?
So do we see another legal case, Anindya? Do we see another legal case now after the Delhi Chief Minister and the other Aam Aadmi Party leaders have been put on trial in the criminal defamation case, given that Raghav Chadha has claimed that he's receiving alleged death threats which have been given to Aam Aadmi Party leaders? Do we see yet another legal tangle here?
Oh, absolutely. We can't rule that out at this point of time. That can well be the case. But one thing is for sure, this is not only a legal case, this is also a political fight between two political parties. It's not about individuals. It's also about political parties in the macro picture. And where,
Okay, be with me, Anindya. Going right away across to Raghav Chadha from the Aam Aadmi Party, who's tweeted death threats given to AAP leaders appearing in Jaitley defamation case, including me, my lawyer as well. Mr. Chadha, can you take us through what exactly happened?
So basically, in the defamation matter, which has been filed by the sitting finance minister against the chief minister of Delhi and 5 of us, was the proceedings of that were listed for today. All of us had gone to court, and a bunch of lawyers appeared from the other side. That is, they represent the Union Finance Minister in this case. One of the lawyers, the group of lawyers who represent him, started verbal heckling our lawyers, and then eventually started raising his voice and made certain statements which tantamount to threats.
What kind of statements, Mr. Chadha? What was the nature of the threat given to you?
Well, we have submitted a written complaint to the magistrate, carefully articulating each and every word that the person had used against us, including statements like, in chaste Hindi, including statements like, कि तुम बाहर निकलो, मैं तुम्हें छोड़ूंगा नहीं, तुम यहाँ से जाओगे, जा नहीं पाओगे, I will not spare you, you try to get out of this court and I will show you, I will not spare you, and various other things. And it was happening, all this happened right in front of the magistrate, the judge. It was while the proceedings were going on, all this happened, and it's absolutely shocking that the Chief Minister of Delhi and other leaders of the Aam Aadmi Party are being threatened in court in Delhi by these rowdy elements and these lumpen elements who claim to represent the Bharatiya Janata Party. I mean,
no, but when you say the lawyer, when you say the lawyer in question, Mr. Chadha, who's the lawyer in question?
Well, after repeated requests from the councils representing the Aam Aadmi Party leaders, finally the magistrate agreed to identify the person, and he was brought before the magistrate. His name, as he said, was Vivek Sharma, and he's a practicing advocate of the Patiala House Court. Now, I'm consulting my lawyer, and we are seeing what legal action can we take in the matter. But the thought and the important point I'm trying to make here is that, if this is the way justice will be dispensed in this country, where a rowdy or a lumpen element can come and, threaten, give death threats to sitting chief minister and other members of the Aam Aadmi Party in front of the magistrate's eyes, then, God save this country. We are
Mr.
really in
Chadha,
a state of shock.
did the lawyer allegedly threaten you in his individual capacity?
Well, he did, certainly, as I said. And I have also submitted a complaint to the magistrate, and we will be taking appropriate legal action.
All right, Mr. Chadha, be with me. Getting in Nalin Kohli also, BJP leader. Mr. Kohli, we understand that you were also present at the spot. Did you witness this scene?
Yeah, actually, after that, then the judge said that those who are not concerned directly in terms of the councils, they should move out. And since I was not in my dress, I thought it is better to move out so that there can be more. There is a contrarian view to this. And I would say that, the objectives are correct, but their usage in terms of whom they are aligned to, in terms of lump and rowdy and all those objectives, that is misconstrued and misplaced. What happened is they had also one of their MLAs, I think it was Mr. Madan Lal or something like that, as one of the people outside mentioned, he started interrupting when Mr. Jaitley's advocate was speaking. Let us look at the entire thing. Yes, the Chief Minister and the others were there. There, our lawyers tried to argue that because the complainant is not there, today under 256, they were quoting a section that the matter should be closed. They had not read the proviso to the section. When Mr. Jaitley's lawyer, at that time it was Mr. Manoj Taneja, and in a few minutes then Mr. Siddharth Luthra, senior advocate, had come in. But Mr. Manoj Taneja and Mr. Manik Dogra, as the two main counsels at that moment, they started reading out the section. They were interrupted by the counsels on the side of the Aam Aadmi Party. So there was no decency accorded in terms of them making first an argument and then hearing the counter argument coming from the complainant's advocates. It is at this point, this gentleman, who was he was of course wearing a black coat, so I presume he might be a lawyer also, practicing or not, I don't know. He started from the Aam Aadmi side, started interrupting. Then there was interruptions from both sides. There were people who were lawyers not on the podium but outside, to which then I think the Aam Aadmi Party leaders went a free-for-all. To me, this element needs to be seen in the larger context. Today, it was fixed for the notice. It was therefore in a sense that the trial will begin. This date was fixed. They tried to delay it first by saying Dilip Pandey is not available. The judge allowed the exemption and said we will proceed further. This entire noise that took place was clearly, unabashedly an attempt that somehow the court proceedings today should come to an end so that the matter can't proceed. And if you look at the past record, the Aam Aadmi Party legal team, and they are constantly seeking to delay it. And why wouldn't they want to delay it? Because after all, the majesty of the law is now working against them. Whether in the civil defamation case in the High Court.
So Mr. Kohli, understandably, this is your version of the entire event, but did you also witness threats being given to Aam Aadmi Party leaders, including Raghav Chadha, by a lawyer?
I must tell you in terms of the distance, Mr. Raghav Chadha was on the podium because he's an accused in this matter. And the entire shouting, if I may say, primarily they had a very large team of lawyers. There was a very small team of lawyers for Mr. Jaitley. So, in terms of it, in that entire thing, some lawyers may not have been connected with the case either and may have been present. But I can't make allegations against who was on whose side because there was a larger crowd of lawyers who were not in the case. So in that entire thing, if Mr. Raghav Chadha was being issued a threat over the heads of maybe about 25 people between him and the other side, then I have to say that it is a very, very fertile imagination. He's entitled to have one. But the threat being issued to him, I don't recall anyone telling it. The fight was between lawyers. How Mr. Raghav Chadha transposed himself in the middle of that fight, it is perhaps for him to reflect on. And if he's made a complaint, I'm sure the courts will look at it or their legal team will advise them in how they have to take care of it in terms of complaints and whether there's any merit in it, what cognizance.
So let me take this to Mr. Chadha only. So Mr. Chadha, is this the fact that there were many lawyers present there, many voices coming in? There was also attempt, as Mr. Kohli is alleging, from the Aam Aadmi Party camp as well to interrupt the proceedings.
That's a couple of things. you see Mr. Kohli as a lawyer and a spokesperson of the BJP, he will certainly try to deflect attention in court legal sections as to under what section was the notice or the proceedings were supposed to happen. But the fact of the matter is that there was a lawyer from a bunch of lawyers that represent Mr. Jaitley who made death threats against us, including the Chief Minister. He was not far away. It's a small courtroom. There is no doubt that there were certain people between the lawyer and the podium. But the lawyer concerned, which is Vivek Sharma in this case, who happens to be one of the counsels who represent Mr. Jaitley, leveled threats, made serious statements against us, saying that he will not spare us, वो हमें छोड़ेगा नहीं, हम बाहर नहीं निकल सकते, हम बाहर निकलेंगे तो वो हमें बताएगा, so on and so forth.
But Mr. Chadha, at a point where the tempers are running high, Mr. Chadha, the point where the tempers are running high, there is a courtroom in which there are interruptions also, as alleged by Mr. Kohli, by Aam Aadmi Party members as well. Is this also an attempt to deviate from the actual observation of the court for initiation of a criminal trial?
Couple of things. First of all, as far as this trial is concerned, as an accused in this case, let me say this, that I am thoroughly, and please, in bold words I'm saying this, I am thoroughly enjoying the trial. And it is, we have so much evidence against, the things that we have said in support, in justification, and in order to substantiate the things that we have said, that we are actually, quite frankly, looking forward to this trial. Forget using any dilatory tactics. But the fact of the matter is that, yes, there was noise from our side, but that was from the side of our counsels and us as accused. We urge the magistrate to take cognizance of this man who claims to represent a powerful union minister, who is in an open court threatening to kill us and requesting the magistrate to take action. Now, after a ruckus of few minutes, as Mr. Kohli rightly pointed out, lawyers who are not representing the accused or the complainant were asked to step out of the courtroom. Yes, so some of them, including Mr. Kohli, stepped out of the courtroom. But the person concerned who left these allegations and who made these death threats against us was very much still present in court. And he continued making that threat in the absence of Mr. Kohli. And he continued saying that, "Tumhe chhodunga nahi, tum bahar nikal ke dikhao, main maar dunga, ye kar dunga," so on and so forth. All that has been written and submitted to the magistrate for kind consideration. We are also thinking of taking appropriate legal action against the person concerned. But the larger point that I'm trying to highlight here again is that if this is the process of dispensation of justice, where a sitting chief minister, his colleagues, his party colleagues are being threatened by lumpen elements who claim to represent the complainant, which is the union finance minister in this case, then what sort of justice are we expecting from the courts? What justice
but Mr.
can
Chadha,
anybody
right now
expect
the person that you have identified, we yet to establish whether he is connected with Mr. Jaitley's legal team or not, because there were many individual lawyers who were present at that spot. So this is a matter of investigation and a grey area at the moment. Mr. Kohli, for now, this is what Raghav Chadha is saying. We're confident of the trial, but we won't tolerate threats. He's also said it's an attempt for strong-arm tactics to undermine the authority of Delhi Chief Minister and his men. Your response?
Well, 3-4 things. First is those who is representing Mr. Jaitley, and on the other side who are representing Mr. Kejriwal and his colleagues, can be easily ascertained by the wakalatnamas filed. That is the easiest way. It's the most direct way. Anyone whose wakalatnama is there, and I'm not aware of, in fact, even my wakalatnama is not there, although I'm a practicing advocate, because I've not filed it in that case there. So therefore, to say that these are anybody in the courtroom is representing anybody would be incorrect. You have to only go by who has filed the wakalatnama, number one. Therefore, it becomes an accusation without foundation unless there is a specific fact to counter it. Number two, to say that there is a death threat, and I'm quoting that word, death threat in a court of law, in front of a judge, is in a way they are raising a question, and which I say it with great trepidation, about the judge looking away when a death threat. That is unheard of. In a country where we are proud of our judiciary, which is independent, for it to be listening to a death threat is a little bit of an overstatement.
Well, in fact, Mr. Kohli, that's a point that I want to take with Raghav as well. Now, Raghav, what was the response of the judge? Because as Mr. Kohli is pointing out, a death threat in front of a judge in the courtroom, and as you raising questions about the judiciary system, I'm sure there would have been also observations by the honorable court as well, if this incident had happened.
Right. So before I answer this question, may I just quickly respond to one statement made by Mr. Kohli.
Go ahead.
He said that, he was not a lawyer for the complainant in this case, as his name does not appear on the Wakalat Nama, that is the legal document which authorizes a particular person who goes to court, and by which a person who goes to court authorizes a counsel to represent him in court. Rightly so. As Mr. Kohli, who is not a lawyer for Mr. Jaitley, as per the Wakalat Nama, happens to be in court and represent Mr. Jaitley and his clan, and he forms a part of the bunch of lawyers that always come and escort Mr. Jaitley. Similarly, this person, Vivek Sharma, may not be the counsel on record for Mr. Jaitley, but he was in court, he was part of Mr. Jaitley's team, he was part of those bunch of lawyers who always escort Mr. Jaitley, and he made these statements. So we have reasons to believe that this person who gave death threats to us, who said that मैं आपको छोड़ूंगा नहीं, तुम लोग बाहर निकल के दिखाओ, मैं तुम्हें जान से मार दूंगा, so on and so forth, is a part of the lawyers, the counsels who come and escort Mr. Jaitley always. Number one. Number two, as far as your question regarding the response of the magistrate is concerned, yes, our counsels, including the accused themselves, urged the magistrate on a number of occasions and said, sir, right before your lordship, right before your eyes, here is a person, lumpen element, who is threatening us, who is saying that I will kill you, I will not spare you, I won't let you go, please take cognizance of this. And then the magistrate said, yes, certainly, right, move an application, I will certainly take cognizance. In fact, before we move that application, the magistrate himself recorded all this in his order, which will be uploaded in a few hours or in a couple of days' time. So he recorded all of that. But the fact really is, the magistrate and other people in the courtroom also try to calm, to cool down the tempers and calm everything down. You see, this sort of heated exchange in courtrooms happens. I'm not, discounting that. It certainly happens. But death threats are not issued. Death threats to a sitting chief minister and other members of his party by a lumpen element who claims to represent Mr. Jaitley in court.
Mr. Kohli, your last response on what Raghav is saying, that these kind of death threats which I've been given and my lawyer was given is not acceptable in the court of law. He's gone ahead to say that now details will be put ahead as well, and he's identified the lawyer on India Today as well. Your last response, sir.
Well, simply put, death threats cannot be issued against anybody. And death threats can't be issued whether it's in a court of law or outside a court of law. Number one, this is a digressionary tactic. Do you think that the magistrate would have tolerated somebody issuing a death threat in his presence? I mean, let's not make a mockery of the judicial system. They are entitled to their drama, but I don't think we should drag it to such an extent that we consider the magistrate sitting in a courtroom to be incompetent and looking the other way when these so-called death threats are happening. No magistrate would...
We leave it there. Mr. Kohli, Mr. Chadha, thanks for joining us. The facts of the case will be out as the Aam Aadmi Party has now once again taken up the legal route this time round. Raghav Chadha claiming he was threatened by a lawyer inside a court during the defamation case, which is now going on a criminal trial as well, with Delhi Chief Minister and other accused in the case.